Does this site look familiar to you? Laying in bed awake when you should be asleep? Maybe you're a student. Maybe you worked all day. Maybe you did both. Today I'm going to tell you how you're sabotaging your own sleep. And as a result of your obligations, you lost your you time. There is a term for this. It's called revenge bedtime procrastination. This is actually something someone commented on in one of my most recent videos. They said that they spend all day in school or at work, and when they finally get home, they only have 3 hours to do everything that they need to, cooking, cleaning, and anything else that life throws at them. The problem is their day is full of obligations. They didn't get time to themselves to be themselves. So as a result, what ends up happening is they try to claw back where they can. They don't take their time away from schooling because they don't want to risk getting bad grades and failing. They don't want to take their time away from work and not having the income they need to survive. So what they end up doing is taking that time away from their sleep. This isn't a good idea, and they are aware of this. The problem is, when they're doing this, they feel that they're not being disciplined. But the truth is, they're very disciplined. No one is a perfect human. No one follows everything that they're supposed to do. But it's also important to understand what that looks like, so that we can try our best. We only have 24 hours in a day. It seems like a lot, but time runs out every single day. Our day doesn't start when you wake up. Our day starts the day before, when you're going to sleep. If you aren't giving yourself enough time to get 8 full hours of sleep in a night, you're setting yourself up for failure before the sun even comes up. And the frustrating part is, if you're sacrificing your sleep to survive your day, you're actually making everything harder for yourself. School becomes harder, work becomes harder, and your health slowly starts to pay the price. And most people don't even realize that it's happening. When we don't get enough sleep, we start seeing problems everywhere. We're going to have issues with our cognition. We're going to have poor concentration, slower reaction time, and worse decision making. We're also going to be sacrificing our mental health, increasing our irritability, chances of anxiety and depression. We're also going to see physical consequences as a result, from higher fatigue levels to weakened immune system, as well as metabolic issues with increased hunger and weight gain. And long-term poor sleep is linked to heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and dementia. So the point I'm really trying to make is, if what you're trying to do is sacrifice your sleep just to get back the time that you lost from work and school, what you're doing is potentially sacrificing the efforts you're making that is causing you to experience revenge bedtime procrastination in the first place. I understand that you feel like your day isn't yours, but this is where you need to find pockets to do the things you enjoy. Make a chore schedule so you don't allow things to pile up and overwhelm you. Give yourself an hour of dedicated time to do the things that you enjoy doing, but don't do it mindlessly. Schedule it. If what you want to do is read, give yourself a window to read. Set an alarm and go. If what you want to do is draw, give yourself a window to draw. This goes for anything that you want to do. Do what you can to plan ahead. I understand the desire to scroll. Sometimes you feel like you have more time and you don't even realize that it slipped away from you. I would honestly set an alarm 15 minutes before you should be in bed, hopefully to snap you out of the trance that scrolling has put you in. But this honestly takes us into the tips that we should talk about that will help our sleep. The first thing you need is a consistent sleep schedule. If you have a specific time that you need to be awake, you need to set the time and stick to it. If you need to be awake at 6, you need to be in bed by 10. Consistency is king, and your nervous system thrives on rhythm. Second, you need to cut caffeine before noon. The way caffeine interacts with our brain is interesting. The more we do in our day, the more adenosine we build up. This acts on receptors in our brain, and as these receptors fill up, this builds natural sleep pressure. The thing is, caffeine is the same plug that adenosine does, but it acts differently. When caffeine attaches to the receptor, rather than making us feel more tired, it actually wakes us up. This is not an issue early when the receptors are empty. Caffeine makes us feel alert and awake. Through the day, the caffeine is going to metabolize and it will dislodge from the receptors. The problem is, what ends up happening is the adenosine that's been building up through the day ends up crashing down. And this is usually what happens when you feel very tired mid-afternoon. How people often handle this situation is by drinking more caffeine. The adenosine is now blocking the receptors, and caffeine takes 8 to 10 hours to metabolize in our body. So if you're drinking a coffee at 2 p.m. and you need to be in bed at 10, what ends up happening is in the beginning stages of sleep, that sleep clears up the adenosine buildup that causes sleep pressure. So when these receptors empty, what ends up happening is the caffeine that hasn't metabolized now has an opportunity to bind to the receptors. So the problem is, if you've ever felt extremely tired, fallen asleep, woken up 2 to 4 hours later, alert and awake, and you can't fall back asleep, this is directly related to caffeine in your system. The third tip that I want to bring up is stop eating close to bedtime. Our body takes 4 to 6 hours to digest food. If your body has to do this during sleep, it's not repairing. Think of it like this. If you're building a house, and every single day that you're building that house, the crew that's working on it has to unload the truck before it can start working on it, it's going to take a lot longer for that house to get built. This is what you're doing to your body when you eat late. The fourth tip, if you have the option, keep your room cool. 60 to 67 degrees is the ideal sleeping temperature. Your core body temperature drops when you prepare to fall asleep. By lowering the temperature before bed, this actually promotes melatonin release as well as activates the parasympathetic nervous system. When you are falling asleep, blood vessels in your hands and feet dilate. This allows heat to leave your core more easily, and your brain interprets this drop in core temperature as a sleep signal. My fifth tip is to limit light exposure. This is something I find interesting. Electricity has only been around for 200 years. In the grand scheme of things, this is a very short period of time in human history. Bright fluorescent lights confuse your body. It makes it think that it's lighter than it is, and this messes with your circadian rhythm. I would limit light usage if possible, as well as use warmer light bulbs to help calm us down. And this also goes for devices. Most smartphones will come with some blue light filter. You can set this to turn on when the sun goes down. This will help signal to your brain that it's dark outside, which will allow your circadian rhythm to take over and help you fall asleep easier. And finally, the sixth tip, and the last one for this video, is exercise. ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is what we use on a cellular level for energy. Once ATP is metabolized, it turns into ADP. ADP gets converted into AMP, and then AMP gets converted into adenosine, the same molecule that builds our sleep pressure in our brain. So by exercising, we increase the desire to sleep. The other factor, and something we will be talking about in a future video, is the impact on mental health that exercise provides. And obviously, if mental health is an issue, sleep is going to be poor as well. But for now, these are some things that you can implement to improve your sleep quality. If you're someone trying to take control of your health and build better habits, this channel is for you. Please consider subscribing. And if you have any specific questions, please leave them in the comments below. Who knows, maybe I'll make a video about the topic to better explain it. And remember, you're trying to take your life back into your own hands.